friends, welcome back. So in our previous class we had started discussion on a topic called as income and assets, wherein we started the first topic, unit number 4, which is taxable and non-taxable income. So what did we discuss, sir? Federal tax law says that all the incomes are taxable unless they are specifically excluded by the statute. So unless the government is specifically excluding any income, that income will be taxable. You'll have to pay tax on that income. So there is a difference between exclusions and deductions. What are exclusions? Exclusions are those income which will not form part of your taxable income at all, meaning those income which will not be taken into your total income. And what are deductions, sir? Deductions are given from your gross income. So whatever is included in gross income, from there you will get deductions. But exclusions are those incomes which will never be included at all. So how do I compute taxable income, sir? You take your gross income. From that you subtract your adjustments to your income, also called as above the line adjustments. You will get your adjusted gross income. From this adjusted gross income, you subtract your deduction, whether standard deduction or itemized deduction, whichever is higher you can subtract. You will get your taxable income. It is on this income you are going to pay the taxes. You pay the taxes on which income, sir? You pay the taxes on the taxable income. Which income? Taxable income. So it is this taxable income on which you will have to pay your taxes. Then what is gross income? Gross income means all the incomes from whatever source derived. So it does not matter what is the source of that income. All the income which a person is earning, from whatever source he is earning, it does not matter, will be called as your gross income unless it is specifically excluded by law. And this definition is given under section 61 of Internal Revenue Code. It includes the money, property, or any services which is received unless it is specifically excluded. Then we saw the difference between taxable income and non-taxable income. Taxable incomes are those income on which you have to pay the taxes. They are recognized or included or recorded in your tax return. Whereas non-taxable income are specifically are not included. They are normally excluded unless specifically they are included. Earned income, unearned income. Earned income means that income which you are earning by performing some physical work. You're performing some activity and then earning that income. Unearned income means the income which is earned by you without performing any work. Then active income means what, sir? Now why this earned income, unearned income difference is important, sir? Because only on the earned income, only the earned income is subject to social security tax and Medicare tax, about which we are going to study today. And then we saw what? Then we saw what, sir? Active income and passive income. Active income where your material participation is involved for earning that income. Passive income, no material participation is involved for earning any particular type of income. Then timing of recognition. When should I recognize the income? That depends on what accounting system you have followed, whether you have followed accrual accounting system or cash accounting system. If you are following cash accounting system, normally income is recorded when that income is received by you. Expenses are recorded when that expenses are paid by you. Whereas accrual system says income is recorded when the income is earned. Expenses are recorded when the expenses are actually incurred. Whether they are actually paid or not, it does not matter. Then we saw beautiful concepts called as doctrine of constructive receipts and doctrine of claim of right. What is doctrine of constructive receipts, sir? Doctrine of constructive receipts says even though you don't have physical possession of that particular income or that money, it will be taxable in your hands. So constructive receipt means an income which is not actually in taxpayer's possession. I don't have the possession of that income, but is still considered as received because it is available to him and without any substantial limitation and restriction, because that income is available to you without any limitation. Claim of right means what, sir? Doctrine of claim of right means if you have any income with you which you can use in any manner you want, correct? That income, even if it becomes repayable in future, that will be treated as your income. That will be what, sir? Treated as your income. Doctrine of claim of right holds that income is taxable in the year when the taxpayer receives it, even if that income is required to be returned on a later date. As long as the taxpayer treats it as his own income, it will be and there is no restriction for its use, it will be taxable in his hands. So these were the different things which we had discussed in our previous class. Now we'll continue the discussion. Now the next point in that discussion is what, sir? Self-employment income. self employment or self-employed taxpayer, self-employment income or self-employed taxpayer. Sir, what do you mean by this word self-employed taxpayer, sir? Self-employed taxpayer means the lawmakers have given some criteria. If a person is earning money on his own, if a person is earning money on his own by doing his own work, then he will be called as self-employed taxpayer. For example, I am running my own business. I am a self-employed taxpayer. I am having my own practicing firm. I am a self-employed taxpayer. I am a cab driver. I am self-employed taxpayer. I am a Swiggy delivery boy. I am self-employed taxpayer. Okay, I'm just taking reference of Indian market over here. So if you are a person who is earning money on your own, then you will be called as what, sir? Self-employed taxpayer. The law has given some criteria. Okay, these are the different people who earn money, and these will be regarded as self-employed taxpayer. Sir, who are those persons, sir? For example, let me take, say, I am earning money. Now, how am I earning money, sir? If I earn money through my own business, so I am a person who is earning money. How am I earning money, sir? I am earning money from my own business. So I have my own business. It can be any type of business or profession. Okay, so I am earning money through that, or I am acting as a contractor, independent contractor of any company. I am working for some company as their contractor. I am an independent contractor. So if I am an independent contractor, then I will be called as self-employed taxpayer. Or I am member of any partnership firm. I am member of any partnership firm. I am who, sir? I am a member of any partnership whose income or a partnership who is doing any type of business. If I am member of any partnership which is doing any type of business, then I will be called as what, sir? Self-employed taxpayer. Now, it does not include these people only. Say I am working in some company. I am working in some company as an employee of that company. Apart from that, I have my side business. So normally, let us say I work from 9 to 5. So after working from 9 to 5, during evening time from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I run my own taxi. I'm a cab driver. Lawmaker says you are self-employed for part-time. So whatever income you are earning by your side, whatever income you are earning, whatever side income you are earning, or this is also called as gig work. So if a person is having any side income, side income is what, sir? Apart from what normally you do in your day-to-day life, you have any other income. Or if you are a priest of any church, now you would have seen this priest of the church, they are performing a lot of functions. They conduct marriage of people, funeral activities they are doing, etc. So in such cases, this priest who are there, no, they are doing lot of work okay, whatever income they are going to earn, that income will be treated as their self-employment income. Okay, not okay. Self-employment in short, sir, a person who is earning income by way of his own business, any type of business or profession is doing, or he is an independent contractor. He is working for a company, but not as an employee, but as an independent contractor. Or for example, let us say tomorrow you qualify and you act as an accountant of any company. There are two options. Now you can either be an employee of the company and do accounts by going to the company on daily basis, or you are going to the company on daily basis and doing their accounting work, but you are not the employee of the company, you are just an independent contractor for them. Or you are having you are member or partner of any partnership firm who is doing any type of business or profession. or you are having any type of side business of your own, whatever side business, it does not matter, but it should be run by you yourself only. As I told you, this cab driver, taxi driver, or you have your saloon, you start you have your own saloon, and you start after working till 5 o'clock, from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock you do that saloon activities, or you're a gym trainer, from some 6 to 12 you give that gym training, etc. Then you will be called as what, sir? Self-employed taxpayer for that portion only, side business portion only. Or you're priest of any church. These people are called as what, sir? They are all called as self-employed taxpayer. Is this point clear to you? Who is called as self-employed taxpayer? Yes, sir. That person who is earning money by his own is called as self-employed taxpayer. Now, what lawmaker says, these people, they have to file their income tax return. They'll have to file their tax return. When will they have to file their tax return? Lawmaker says they need to file their tax return if their net self-employed or self-employment income, if their net self-employment income is $400 or more. When will they have to do this, sir? If their net income from self-employment is how much? $400 or more than $400, then they will have to file what? They'll have to file their tax return. For them, sir, that 14,600 criteria is not there. No, that criteria is not there. That criteria is not there for them. For them, what is the criteria, sir? If their income is how much? $400 or more than $400. I think in last session or in that class also somewhere we had discussed about this particular point. So if their net income is how much, sir? $400 or more than $400, then they will have to file their tax return. They will have to file their tax return. So this is basically what, sir? Self-employment. These are called as self-employed taxpayer or self-employed taxpayer, self-employment income. When we are checking their tax, whether they have to file their tax return or not, we should take net self-employment income. We should take what, sir? Net self-employment income after all the deduction. Now, because they are not employee of any company, because they are working on their own, any person who is paying them the money, no, that person will have to give a form. That person will have to give a form called as form 1099 NEC. So what will this person receive? So if you are an independent contractor who is earning $600 or more, will get form 1099 NEC from his client. Sir, why is this important? Because normally there is a difference between independent contractor and your employee. See, normally independent contractor and employee, both of them do the same kind of work. They both do the same kind of work, but there is a major difference between them. What is that difference? You will understand very soon when we discuss about the tax applicable on the income. Okay, what is the, sir, you first tell us the difference, sir. Then we will see what is the tax applicable on the income. No, first you will understand what are the different types of taxes which government is collecting. Okay, the government over there, they'll collect something called as the government will collect two types of taxes. Either they will collect one type of tax called as FICA tax, also called as payroll tax, and the other type of tax which they collect is called as self-employment tax. Self-employment tax. Basically, they both are exactly same. They both are exactly same. The rate at which the tax is recorded to be paid is same. For understanding self-employment tax, because we are discussing self-employment employed taxpayer, for understanding self-employment tax, you'll have to first understand what is this FICA tax. Sir, by the way, what do you mean by FICA, sir? What is meant by FICA? Okay, we'll first discuss about FICA tax. FICA tax is also called as payroll tax. So as the name itself is telling, it is also called as what? Payroll tax. So who will so this tax will be collected at what time, sir? If you are working as an employee of any company. If you are working as an employee, then the tax which you have to pay is called as your FICA tax or payroll tax. Now, what is this FICA, sir? FICA stands for, FICA means federal. FICA means what, sir? Federal. FICA means federal. Just a second. Okay. FICA tax. One student had come. So, yeah. FICA tax. FICA means what, sir? FICA full form is Federal Insurance. FICA is Federal Insurance Contribution. Federal Insurance Contribution Act. So, FICA tax. FICA tax means what, sir? It is a tax which is collected on your employment. It is also called as payroll tax. Now just understand this. Let us say you are working in a company. Okay. Now that company, because you are working at some place, so there are two persons involved now. Who are these two persons? There is the employer and there is you yourself, the employee. Correct? So there are two people involved. Now what lawmaker says, say today to you are earning, today to you are able to work, you are having a good life, but tomorrow in a future date when you will not be capable of working, or when you will retire from your life, or when you grow old, then who will take care of you? Who will take care of you? Who will take care of all your needs, etc.? So what lawmakers says, you do one thing, why don't you start saving from today only for your future? Lawmaker says, you pay some tax to me, I'll take care of your future. What is lawmaker telling? You pay some taxes to me right now, I'll take care of your future. So whatever salary you are earning, of that salary, employee is there, employer is there. So whatever salary is you are earning, of that salary, contribute. As of now, you pay me some money. Whatever salary is earned by you, of that salary, pay me 6.252%. You pay me how much, sir? 6.2% of your salary as SS. SS means what, sir? You pay me 6.2% of your salary as social security. Pay 6.2% of your salary as social security tax. Okay, pay me what, sir? Social security tax of 6.2%. And you pay me. So social security is what, sir? It is a fund which I am going to utilize at for your old age, for at the time of your retirement. Correct? For at the time of your retirement, when you become disabled person, you get meet with an accident, you are not able to work at all, I'll give you money. When you are old, I will give you money, I'll take care of you. So government is telling, pay me what, sir? Pay me social security tax. Social security tax of how much? 6.2%. Also pay me Medicare tax. Pay me what? pay me 6.2% as social security tax and pay me Medicare tax of 1.45%. Sir, this amount will be calculated on what? This amount will be calculated on whatever you are earning. As you are an employee, you are going to receive some salary. So whatever salary you have received, of that salary, how much you have to pay, sir? Of that salary, you have to pay 6.2%, sorry. And you will have to pay Medicare tax of how much, sir? You will have to pay Medicare tax of yeah. So you will have to pay Medicare tax of how much? You will have to pay Medicare tax of 1.45%. So Medicare tax, I'm going to use it for your future purpose, for your future what benefit purpose, sir? For Medicare purpose, if you get admitted to hospital in future. And then apart from that, your employer, because you are contributing some money, what I'll do is I'll ask your employer also to contribute same amount. So whatever you are contributing, how much are you contributing as an employee? You are working, no, you are contributing how much? 6.2%. I will take from your employer also same social security tax of 6.2%. I am going to take from your employer, what, sir? I am going to take, I am going to take from your employer Medicare tax of 1.45%. Meaning how much ever contribution is made by employee, equal amount of contribution will be made by the employer. Exactly same amount of contribution will be made by whom, sir? Employer. So for example, if you are my employee, if you are making a contribution of 6.2%, that is what you are supposed to make, and 1.45% of Medicare tax, same amount of contribution I will also have to make. So what will happen over here, sir? A total contribution which is going to be made by you will be, so this total contribution which is going to be made by you will be what, sir? 7.65%. Same amount of contribution I will also have to make 7.65%. We'll have to make the same amount of contribution. Now this is the total contribution which is going to be, this is the total amount which is going to go to whom, sir? This is the total amount which is going to go to government. 15.3% is going to go to government. This 15.3% which is there, this is called as your payroll tax or FICA tax. This is called as your payroll tax or FICA tax. I hope this is clear to you all. I'll repeat once again. What the lawmaker says, whatever contribution is made by you, this contribution, why are you making? For your retirement purpose, for your future purpose. For your future purpose, at the time of retirement, you may need money. For your medical, healthcare treatment, etc., you may need money. So right now only, because you are earning now. Now that you are earning, you can make some contribution, contribute 6.2% as your social security tax and 1.45% as Medicare tax. Whatever contribution you are going to make as an employee, the same amount of contribution will be made by your employer. The exactly same amount of contribution will be made by whom, sir? Your employer. So total contribution which you have to make is how much? 15.3% is the total contribution made by you as FICA tax. This tax is called as what, sir? FICA tax or payroll tax. Now lawmaker says there are 2-3 points to be noted over here. What lawmaker says? Lawmaker says the maximum amount of FICA tax which you are social security tax which you are supposed to pay. You are supposed to pay how much? 6.2% of social security tax. Correct? No. The maximum amount which you have to pay social security tax on your income, the salary, the wages which you are earning. Correct? No. So there is a restriction. Up to certain amount only you have to pay. If your wages cross certain amount, for example, if my wage is up to $1 lakh, let us say lawmaker says pay me 6.2%. Once your wages crosses, say you are earning $1.5 lakh. So here lawmaker says because you are earning more than the limit which is given by me, I will calculate only 1 lakh into 6.2%. Meaning the social security tax is calculated on an amount of salary where there is a maximum restriction inward. What is that, sir? What is that, sir? That is one important point. What is that point, sir? Lawmaker says social security tax social security tax is restricted to a maximum of a maximum of to a maximum salary of a maximum to a maximum salary of dollar 168600, meaning if your salary amount is more than this in a year, then how much will you pay, sir? You will pay maximum on this amount. For example, if I am earning $2 lakh, and if I ask you what is social security tax which employee has to pay, so employee's contribution will be social security tax 168600 into 6.2%. And sir, what about Medicare tax? For Medicare tax, there is no restriction. So Medicare tax will be calculated on the entire 2 lakh into how much, sir? 1.45%. So social security tax, there is a restriction involved. So maximum amount of social security, irrespective of how much your salary you are earning, the maximum amount on which it will be calculated will be restricted to what, sir? It will be restricted to color, which color do you say? It will be restricted to how much, sir? Dollar 168600, meaning $1,68,600. Now, is there any restriction on your Medicare tax? No. So we'll write this point also. There is no restriction for Medicare tax. So on what amount will Medicare tax be collected? Is there any restriction? Answer is no. Now here, one very important point. So this, I hope this point is very clear to you all. Now what lawmaker says, your Medicare tax amount will be increased after certain limit. Your Medicare tax, MC is Medicare, MC tax, Medicare tax. So once your income crosses certain limit, your Medicare tax contribution will be increased by certain percentage. What is that limit, etc.? We'll study from the material. So what is this point telling? Medicare tax shall be increased by 0.9% if the income crosses certain threshold. So if your income is crossing certain limit or certain threshold, then you will have to pay additional Medicare tax. It will cross what, sir? It will cross certain amount. You'll have to pay what? Additional Medicare tax. So this is very important point to be noted over here. What is very important to be noted, sir? One, what is FICA tax? FICA tax is also called as payroll tax. It is a tax which is collected on your employment income. Okay, whatever income is paid by the employer to you. So how much contribution you have to make? You will have to pay a total of 6.2% of whatever wages you are receiving, and Medicare tax of you'll have to pay 1.45%. Whatever contribution is made by you, similar amount is required to be contributed by the employer also. So total contribution which you have to make towards your FICA tax or payroll tax is 15.3%. This will be increased by 0.9% in case of Medicare tax if your salary is crossing certain threshold limit. What is the threshold limit? We will see in some time. And there is no restriction for Medicare tax collection, but however for social security tax collection there is a restriction. on what amount it will be collected, sir? Whatever your salary is there on that amount. But if your salary crosses $1,68,600, it will be restricted to that particular amount. I hope this point is clear to you all. Now I'll come to self-employment tax. For understanding self-employment tax, it was very important for us to understand what is this FICA tax. I hope this FICA tax is very clear to you all. Now, why, sir, self-employment? You said this is required to be studied, but first, because self-employment tax is exactly same as your FICA tax. Self-employment tax. Self-employment tax is exactly same as your FICA tax. The only difference is, in case of FICA tax, you had made some contribution, your employer had made some contribution. But here, you don't have any employer. You are the only person who is earning. You are only your employer. You are only your employee. So here what lawmaker says, whatever contribution was made by them individually, this contribution you will have to make combined. Whatever contribution was made by them individually, this contribution you will have to make combined. Meaning, whatever together they contributed towards social security tax and social security tax, full amount of that, how much, sir? 12.4%. You yourself have to contribute. Whatever they had contributed separately for Medicare tax, full amount of that, how much, sir? 2.9%. You will have to contribute as your Medicare tax by yourself. That is the only difference. In case of payroll tax or FICA tax, contribution was made by employer and employee equally. But here, the entire 15.3% which is required to be paid to the government will be paid by the individual himself, the taxpayer himself. He has no other person who is going to contribute for his benefit. Sir, here also is this conditions applicable, sir? Yes, whatever conditions were normally applicable for FICA tax, like for example, there is a restriction of 16,800, correct? No, or there is a additional Medicare tax which will be collected, etc. All these conditions are exactly same. Exactly copy paste provision is there. So self-employment tax. What is the self-employment tax, sir? Self-employment tax is a self-employed version. It is a self-employed version of FICA tax. It is a self-employed version of FICA tax, wherein both employer and employee contribution are to be made by self-employed themselves, self-employed individuals. So self-employed individual himself has to make this tax. Themselves. So how much is the contribution, sir? The contribution will be for social security how much will you contribute? You have to pay social security tax of 12.4%, which is nothing but 6.2% plus 6.2%. Employees contribution, employers contribution. Then you'll have to pay what, sir? Medicare tax. How much Medicare tax you have to pay? You will have to pay a Medicare tax of 2.9%, which is 1.45%, 1.45%. So in total you have to pay how much? 15.3%. This entire 15.3% you will have to pay on what amount, sir? This entire 15.3% tax is required to be paid on, to be calculated on net. It is required to be calculated on net income from self-employment. It is required to be calculated on net income from self-employment. Now here for calculation, no, there is one important point which you have to take care of. The calculation is little different. Here directly whatever wages you are earning, on that wages you will calculate the percentage which is given. Correct? On this above case, say your wages is around $50,000. So $50,000, 6.25% you will pay your contribution. Employer also will contribute the same amount. Then Medicare tax 1.4% you will contribute. The employer also will be contributing the same amount. But here there is one small, variation in calculation. What is that variation, sir? Calculation step is very important for the self-employment tax. How is the calculation done, sir? Calculation of self-employment tax. So what are the steps involved? So first thing which you have to do is check what is your net earning. Check for net earnings from self-employment. Yes, sir, I have checked my net earnings from self-employment. Now tell me, sir, what I should do, sir? You should take whatever your net earnings is there. You should take take 92.35% of net earnings. Take how much? 92.35%. Sir, why, sir, 92.35%? What they are telling is, see, whatever your earnings is there, let us say your earnings is 100 rupees or 100% is your earning. Now, if you would have worked somewhere as an employee, the employer would have contributed 7.65%. Correct? No, employer would have contributed 7.65%. See, please note, this amount which in case of an employee, this amount which employer is contributing, no, employer is contributing from his own pocket. He is not going to pay it from, he is not going to reduce it from my salary. No. He is going to contribute from his own pocket. For example, if I am working somewhere and I am getting salary of $1 lakh, I will have to pay only 6.2% of this. Okay, I'll have to pay only 6.2%, which is $6,200 I will have to pay. Equal amount of contribution is required to be made by employer. But sir, will my employer reduce this amount from my salary and pay? No. Employer is not going to reduce this money. When employer is going to pay this amount, he will pay you whatever is the salary less your contribution. How much is your contribution? 6,200 towards social security and 1,450 towards Medicare tax. So he is going to reduce only this much from your total salary. Now whatever is left over will be paid to you. How much will he pay you? 9,250. This is the amount which is going to pay you as salary. But sir, what about this amount, sir? Will he not reduce this from my salary? No, he is not going to reduce this from your salary, because this is his own contribution which he'll have to pay from his own pocket. So same thing over here, lawmaker says, if you would have worked somewhere, employer would have contributed some amount. So employer would have contributed some amount from his own pocket. in this case you are contributing from your that amount from your pocket. So reduced whatever employer would have contributed from what 100% salary you are getting, reduce that 7.65%. Reduce how much, sir? 7.65%. Now what is remaining is what, sir? 92.35%. This 92.35% is the amount on which the tax will be calculated. So on this amount, in step number 3, calculate or compute compute 15.3% on the step 2 earnings. So whatever earnings you have got in step number 2, that earnings ka 15.3% is required to be computed. Now here one beautiful thing will happen. One beautiful thing will happen. What is that beautiful thing, sir? Whatever amount you have contributed, see, you are making double contribution, correct? Half of the contribution will be given to you as deduction while computing your taxable income. So when you are going to add your total income, gross income, you'll take the entire income which you have earned, but half of the contribution which is made by you. So whatever contribution you are making, how much you are making? 15.3%. Half of this will be given to you as deduction. It will be given to you as deduction from your gross income. So you would have above the line adjustments are there. No? From that above the line adjustments, this will be subtracted. So that will be subtracted anyways. I'll write it as a note. Half of the self-employment tax will be allowed as deductions from gross income. Sir, any other note which I have to know? Yes, these two notes also will write. Social security tax will be collected on maximum how much amount, sir? 168,600, and there is no restriction for Medicare tax. And of course, additional Medicare tax will be collected if the income is crossing the certain limit. What is that limit? I'll tell you. Note. Social security tax shall be restricted to a maximum of $16,8600 of net earnings no such Medicare tax shall be collected on full amount of net earnings. And note number 3 or note number 4, additional Medicare tax of 0.9% may apply if income exceeds certain threshold. Sir, what is this threshold? Threshold is same for same as FICA tax. This threshold limit is same for both the people, whether you are earning income by way of wages or you are earning income because of your self-employment. The threshold limit will be same. Now, sir, can we take up one example to understand the calculation? Yes. Example. Let us say Dilip is self-employed, having a supermarket. His net earnings. So what is my net earnings, sir? My net earnings is $50,000. So now if I ask you to compute his social security tax and Medicare tax. So how much will be my social security tax? Sir, first, what is my net earnings, sir? My net earnings is $50,000. Then step number 2, I should subtract certain amount from my net earning. Correct? No? How much should I subtract, sir? 9.5%. So amount for tax calculation is equal to $50,000 into 92.35%, which is equal to how much? 50,000 into 92.35%, 46,175. Now this 46,175 which we have, on this we will calculate. So what is my self-employment tax? Self-employment tax is equal to 46,175 into 15.3%. 15.3% is 7,064.775. I'll write it as 78. Now here, of course, this is required to be divided by 2. 1 will be allowed as subtraction. $3,532.39 allowed as deduction from gross income. It will be allowed as deduction from your gross income. So this is basically how your FICA tax and self-employment tax is calculated. Now we have understood what is self-employment, who is a self-employed taxpayer. Now we saw how to compute the tax on your self-employed income. Correct? Now we will see employee related aspects. Correct? Employment income. Now why did we discuss FICA tax before employment income, sir? Because for understanding the self-employed tax, it was very important. Now we are going to see what, sir? Self-employment, we have seen. What if I work somewhere? What if I am earning an income by way of employment? We will see that now. So next topic for our discussion is employment income. Employment income is what, sir? Your salary income, basically. What lawmaker says, if you are working for someone and doing any kind of work as per his instruction, if you are working for someone and doing any kind of work as per his instruction. Whatever he is asking you to do, if you're doing that particular thing, and however he is asking you to do, if you're doing in such manner only, then it is said that you have an employer-employee relation. It is said that you have an employer-employee relation. That person on whose behalf you are working or on whose direction you are working is called as your employer, and you yourself will be called as employee. So for the work which you are undertaking or for the services which you are providing as an employee, he is going to pay you some money. That money can be salary, it can be wage, it can be any bonus, it can be any commission, it can be any tips, it can be any fringe benefit. So there are a lot of different components of employment income. We'll study about all those components. So he will pay this money to you for the work which is done by you on his behalf or as per his direction. See, normally what happens, sir? Normally, whatever income you are receiving, that income will be taxable in your hands as your employment income. So, for example, I am your employer. I am having a supermarket. You are working as my employee. So, whatever salary I am going to give you, that will be treated as your income. That will be your employment income. And the same amount I can claim as deduction. While preparing my business income, while preparing my income for my business, I can show this salary as my expenses. That is logically correct also, because it is a salary which is paid by me to you, so I can claim it as a deduction, and that amount will be, same amount will be treated as income for you. Now here, while studying employment income, no, there is one minute but major difference which you have to see is with respect to employee and independent contractor. So there are two different categories of people. Normally, workers, a person who is working for a company, are divided into two categories under federal law. What are these two categories, sir? You can either be treated as an employee of the company, or you can be treated as independent contractor. Sir, why is this differentiation important, sir? Here we are discussing about employment income. In case of employment income, there is a relationship which is very important, which is employer-employee relationship. But whereas in case of independent, if you are acting as an independent contractor for someone, there is no such kind of relationship. When you are an employee of someone, you will act as per his direction. He will give you direction, he will tell you what you are supposed to do. But when you are not an employee of someone, when you are working for him as an independent contractor, you will decide how to do. So you have the power. You will decide how to do. The person who has given the work, work to you, he is only concerned about the result which he wants. But in case of employment, what will happen, sir? If you are working as an employee, he will tell you the flow, as well as he will have the control over the result. He will tell you how you are supposed to do a particular work, as well as he will have the control on the result which you are going to get out of that work. What is that final thing which you are going to get out of that work? On that also he will have that control. Okay. So there will be employer-employee relationship, his direction, and you will be doing on your own if you are an independent contractor. If you are an employee, then payroll tax will be collected, FICA tax will be collected, because you are acting as somebody's employee. Whereas here you will be called as self-employed. If you are an independent contractor, that means you are self-employed. If you are an independent contractor, you are treated as self-employed. Okay, so this differentiation is very important for understanding employment income. Our major discussion will be what, sir? Our major discussion will be with respect to employment income. Okay, not okay. Our major discussion will be restricted to employment income. Now, before writing some points with respect to employment income, what are the different types of income I can earn as an employee? Let us write this difference first. What is employment income? What is non-employment income? We'll write this difference part we'll write first, meaning who are the two categories of workers which are there. So under federal law, worker classification. Worker classification. So worker classification under federal law. What IRS says? IRS classifies worker into two categories. IRS classifies the workers into two categories. Which are these two categories? You can either be called as an employee or you will be an independent contractor. You are what, sir? Either an employee or you are an independent contractor. Sir, what is the major difference, sir? We'll write the meaning. First about, we'll understand who is an employee. Who is an employee? Employee is a employee performs services under the direction and control of his employer. He is acting upon the direction of his employer. The employer controls his work and how it should be done. So basically, what you are supposed to do and how is it required to be done, that is required to be that will be controlled by the employer. Now here he will issue a form. Form W2 is issued by the employer for the work which he is doing. So for the work which is going, how much money I have paid, etc. That for that thing they will give something called as W2, a form called as W2. But if you are an independent contractor, you perform the services as per someone's need, but you will do it as per your requirement. So you will have complete control about what work you should do, how you should do. Control of result will be with the client. So here individual performs services as an independent contractor he has full control on how to execute the work, how to carry on the work. The client or the payer, the person who is paying the money to him, has control only on the result of the work. So your client will have control only on the result of that particular work. And what will he issue, sir? The payer or client issues form Already we have written this 1099 NEC. 1099 NEC means what, sir? Non-employment contract. Form 1099 NEC means what, sir? Non-employment contract. Okay, not okay. This is the basic difference between workman and employment. Now we are discussing about what, sir? Employment income. We are discussing about employment income. So about independent contractor, if you have seen over here, we have already written a point while discussing self-employed taxpayer. We have written the second point that independent contractor is also covered in self-employed taxpayer only. Okay, so for that, for independent contractor, what will you do, sir? You will follow whatever we have done above. Now, employment income, sir. What is an employment income? What are the different types of employment income? We'll say all those things. We'll just write down those incomes first, and then accordingly we are going to we'll study it from the material whatever I've discussed. Then we'll continue our discussion, because this part alone will take around maybe 1 or 2 class for us to discuss employment income. Maybe one class it will take completely. So, what is an employment income? Employment income refers to all forms of compensation, all the forms of money which is paid, all the forms of compensation received by an individual in exchange for services performed by him. So for whatever services you are performing as an employee, so whatever services are performed by you as an employee, the money which you get will be called as what, sir? Employment income, which will include the wages, the salary, the bonus, or any type of fringe benefit, etc., which is paid by the company to you. This income is taxable in hands of employee and is allowed as deduction in computing employer income, or it is allowed as deduction for the employer. Now, what are the different types of employment incomes? Types of employment income. So employment income is divided into various different categories. You get something called as regular wages. We have to study about all these things. Then you get something called as advance wages. Then you get something called as supplement wages. These are the different types of wages which you get. Then you get something called as garnished wages. Garnished wages. So these are different categories of wages which you may get. Then sir, what is the these are wages which you may get. We'll study about all these things. Then you have some non-cash compensation. Non-cash compensation which is received by you. Sir, what is this non-cash compensation which you are receiving? For example, non-cash means it is not in form of money. Company is giving you a house to stay. That is also a form of salary. Company is giving you a car. Company is taking care of your education, or company is taking care of your children's education. That is what, sir? A non-cash compensation which the company is paying you. So this will include your any property or services in lieu of salary. Then tuition in exchange of work. Then you get what, sir? Or else I'll do one thing, I'll write it as other categories. A lot of things are there. We'll have to study about everything. Other incomes will include your tip income, or what we say as tips. You give tips to your in the restaurant, you give tips to waiters, no, the tip income. Any fringe benefit, any kind of fringe benefit is there, or cafeteria plans. Then clergy income. Sir, we are going to study about all these things, sir. Yes. Military or veteran income. Disability income. Life insurance income, etc. I mean, these are also disability income, veteran income, that is also a separate type of income which need not only be received from your employment, etc. Like we have life insurance proceeds, etc. We'll see all these things. Okay, we'll see all these different incomes. There are few more points which I have not noted down over here. Now we will first discuss what we have completed. Correct. So in our previous class we studied till where, sir? We studied till our claim of doctrine of claim of right, and now we have to start discussion on self-employed taxpayers. Who is a self-employed taxpayer, sir? Self-employment income is earned by a taxpayer who is working for themselves. So it is earned by whom, sir? Those people who are working for themselves. If you're working for yourself, that means the income which is earned by you is called as self-employment income. A taxpayer who earns self-employment income of $400 or more in a year must file tax return and report their income to IRS. So what is this point telling, sir? If your self-employment income is $400 or more, you will have to file your tax returns. You will have to file your tax returns. Independent contractors are usually receive form 1099 NEC from the business customers showing the income they were paid during the year. So what is this point telling, sir? If there is any income which is paid to you, if there is any money paid to you, who an independent contractor, the person who is paying the money to you will issue a form called as form 1099 NEC. Now, when will this form be issued? This form will be issued. This form will be issued if the total money paid to you by one particular person is $600 or more. So if you are receiving more than $600 or more from one particular contractor, he will give you this form 1099 NEC. The amounts reported in form 1099 NEC along with any other business income are required to be reported by self-employed individual in a schedule called as schedule number C. So where are you supposed to report this amount? Whatever is there is required to be reported by you in which form, sir? In a schedule, in which schedule, sir? Schedule number C, profits or losses from business. In form 1040. Schedule C of what, sir? Form 1040. Self-employed farmers. Okay, if you are a self-employed farmer, you have to report your income instead of form Schedule C. For you, which form is there, sir? Schedule F is there. So if you're a farmer, what schedule is there, sir? Schedule number F. Profit and loss of form 1040. Self-employment income includes, what is included in self-employment income? Income of ministers, priests, rabbis from performance of services such as baptisms and marriages. So whatever services which this church people perform, ministers or priests, etc., they perform whatever services they are performing, no, that services will be treated as self-employment income. Distributive, this is important, distributive share of business income allocated by a partnership to their general partners. Distributive share, please note, normally whatever distributive share is what, sir? The share in profit of partnership firm. What do you mean by distributive share? Distributive share, they are using the word distributive share. What is distributive share? Share in profit of partnership. How much profit the partnership has given you, not that how much share is going to be given to you. For example, a partnership has earned a profit of $1 lakh and there are 4 partners. So each partner is going to get how much? $25,000 each partner is going to get. That is treated as a self-employment income. But sir, actually the partner got only $15,000, sir. 10,000 it was kept in the firm only, sir. No problem. Distributive share will be taken. Which share will be taken, sir? Distributive share. What is distributed? Not that share. Distributive. What is supposed to be distributed? Now, examination, this is a very crucial point. Distributed share will be taken or distributive share will be taken, sir? Distributive. Distributive means what is supposed to be distributed to you. That entire amount will be taken, irrespective of how much is distributed. Or in certain circumstances by an limited liability corporation. So whatever distributive share you are getting from partnership or from limited liability company, whatever it is giving to its member, that will be taken. Income reported to an individual partner. Income is reported to an individual partner in schedule K1. So in case of partner, which schedule is applicable, sir? Schedule number K1 is applicable of form 1065. We'll see that example. C operates a popular taco truck with her brother O. They split profit and losses equally and operate their businesses as a general partnership. They request the partnership EIN from IRS and correctly file form 1065 to report the activity from the taco stands. C and O both receive a K1 from the partnership every year. C and O must each report their distributive share of income from from the taco stand on their respective form 1040. So when they are filing their form 1040, they are required to report it in which, sir? Schedule number E. The income is considered as self-employment income and is subject to self-employment tax. So whatever income you are receiving, this will be treated as your self-employment income and it is going to be taxed as your self-employment income. A taxpayer does not have to conduct regular or full-time business activity to be considered as full-time. Very important. What is this point telling, sir? Even if you are not doing full-time business, you may be called as a self-employed taxpayer. So to be called as a taxpayer, is it necessary for you to be in full-time work, sir? No. A taxpayer may have a side business in addition to his regular job, and this is considered as self-employed. So whatever side income you are having, in addition to means you are already working in some place, and apart from that extra you are earning, as I told you, are working after the office hours, etc. So that will be taken as your self-employment income only. For example, G earned $49,000 in wages as a full-time employee of Royal Roofing Inc. He also advertises general handyman services online and performs household repair services for various local businesses. During the year, G did several handyman side jobs for private clients on the weekends. G received $9,000 for several individuals from this handyman work. He did not receive Form 1099 NE for 9,000, but he must still report these payments as a self-employment income, though he had not received the money, because he would have given services to different people and maybe the amount individually would have not been more than $600. A Form 1099 NEC will be given only when your income is $600 or more than that, correct? No. So maybe because he would have given services to a lot of people, they would have not given this particular document to him. FICA tax. What is FICA tax? FICA tax, as we discussed, FICA tax, payroll tax, also called as payroll tax. Federal Insurance Contribution Act tax or FICA tax includes two separate taxes. One is Social Security tax and one is Medicare tax. The current Social Security tax rate is what, sir? The current Social Security tax rate is 6.2% for employer and 6.2% for employee. Then that is 12.4% in total. Medicare tax is 1.4% and 1.4%, which is 2.9% in total. The combined FICA tax rate of 15.3% applies up to $168600 of taxpayers' combined earned income, including wages, tips. 92.35% of net earnings from self-employment. Okay, so if you are a self-employment, this will be applied on which portion, sir? 92.35% of net earnings from self-employment. If a taxpayer's combined earning exceeds this threshold, the rate of 2.9% represents. So if the taxpayer's income exceeds this threshold, a rate of 2.9% represent only Medicare portion applies to excess earnings over the earned income threshold. So see, while reading this, will you be able to understand what they are trying to say? What they are trying to say over here is, if your total income, whatever you have earned, if it exceeds this amount, which amount? 168600, then it will be applied on which amount, sir? Maximum Social Security tax will be restricted on this amount, and Medicare portion will be applicable on the excess income also. So 7.65% FICA tax rate is combined rate for Social Security and Medicare tax. The Social Security portion, also called as OASDI. Social Security tax is also called as what, sir? OASDI. Sir, what is this new word you are telling, sir? OSD. What do you mean by this, sir? OSD. OSD means old age surviving disability income. Okay, something like this is there. Social security portion is 6.2% of the earning up to the applicable taxable amount, which is 168600. Remember, Medicare tax is 1.45% on all earned income. There is no maximum limit. For certain high income individual, an additional Medicare tax of 0.9% will be applied to the wages and self-employed income above the threshold limit. B is registered nurse who works as for a medical office. To calculate FICA contribution as an employee, her payroll department multiplies B's gross pay by current social security and Medicare taxes. B's taxable income are $80,000. So wages are subject to FICA tax. B's social security contribution will be 80,000 into 6.2, which is this amount, which will be contributed by her for her own account, and Medicare tax will be 1.45%. Now, note, if the taxpayer work for more than one employer and the total compensation is more than this amount, 168600, social security tax shall be limited to so much of social security as may be withheld. Meaning the social security, because he has worked for more than one person, that social security tax will be restricted to that amount. Meaning you will have to inform your new employer that, sir, I have received the money from my previous employer also and it is crossing the limit, so please you restrict the social security component only till this amount. A taxpayer will have excess social security contribution if the multiple employers withholding exceeds maximum amount. This usually occurs when a person changes the job in the middle of the year or works multiple jobs. In this case, the taxpayer can claim excess credit against the income. This is officially called as credit of social security tax and RRTA tax withheld. Basically, what is this point telling? So if you don't give the information to your new employer, say I have worked in the same year, I have worked in 3 different companies and everyone is deducting their social security tax, and I have not informed that the new employer that from previous employer have already received I have already received some amount which exceeds 16800. 168,600, it already exceeds this amount. Then lawmaker says whatever extra you have paid, no, that we will give you as credit of excess social and RRTA tax withheld, and is fully refundable to the taxpayer's individual return. So when you file your individual return, whatever excess you have paid will be refunded to you. So they have given a question over here wherein this person's salary was 173 and on this entire amount it was deducted. It should be restricted only to this amount. What is self-employment tax, sir? Self-employment tax is imposed on self-employed individual in the manner similar to social security and medical taxes that applies to wage earners. So what are they telling? Whatever social security tax is paid, self-employment tax is imposed on self-employed individuals in the same manner as social security and Medicare tax which applies to wage earner. Self-employed individuals are responsible for paying the entire contribution. Self-employed individuals are responsible for paying the entire contribution of social security tax and Medicare taxes applicable on their net earning from self-employment. Self-employment tax is calculated on Schedule SC if the taxpayer has wages in addition to self-employment earning. Social security tax shall be first be paid on the wages, and the two adjustment related to self-employment shall be reduced all over taxpayers with the self-employment income. Meaning, what are they telling? If you are already working somewhere and on the if you're already working somewhere and if that person is deducting some amount, then you please reduce that amount of 7.96% of employer's contribution, and the balance portion only you calculate as we did the calculation. First, the taxpayer's net earnings from self-employment are reduced by 7.65%, just as the employer share of social contribution is not concerned to wages of employee. This reduction removes the corresponding amount from the net earnings before applying the social security tax. So whatever your net earnings is there, from that you reduce 7.65%, and on that amount you apply this. Second, the taxpayer can deduct the employer equivalent portion of self-employment tax to determine the adjusted gross income. As we have written the note. What if I have more than one business, sir? If the taxpayer owns more than one businesses, they must net the profit or losses from each the businesses to determine the total earnings of social security tax. Please note, if you are more than one businesses, what will you do? You will net your income. For example, I have two businesses. One is giving me profit, one is giving me loss. Combine. On net amount, tax will be calculated. I have two businesses, both are giving me profit. Combine. On net amount, tax will be calculated. Sir, I and my wife, I have one business in my name. My wife is having one business in her name. Now, can we net, combine, and pay the taxes? No. If the same person is having two businesses, if the same person is having two businesses in his name, if the same person is having two businesses in his name, two or three, etc. However, married taxpayers cannot combine their income or losses from self-employment to determine the individual earnings. However, married taxpayers, what, sir? Married taxpayers cannot combine their income or losses for self-employment taxes. For example, K is a sole proprietor who owns a popular barber shop. He has $49,000 net income from the business in 24. His wife N has a candle making business with all over loss of $12,000. K must pay self-employment tax on the entire amount, regardless how N choose to file. That is because married couples cannot offset each other's income from self-employment even if they file jointly. Okay. K is married taxpayer who is a sole proprietor of two small business, a computer shop and a car wash business. K's wife A is a homemaker and does not work either in any of this business. K computer business has a net income of $50,000 and car wash has a loss of $23,000. Now, can he do the offset, sir? Yes, he can do the offset and pay tax only on $27,000. Employee compensation and worker classification. First, we'll see worker classification, and then we have that employee incomes, whatever that incomes are there. We'll see all those incomes. First, we'll write about those incomes, and then we will see wages, salary, bonus, tips, and commissions are compensation received by employees for the services performed by them. Employee compensation is taxable to the employee and is deductible to the employer. So whatever compensation an employee is receiving, it is taxable in the hands of employer and deductible in the hands of employer. For federal tax purpose, IRS classifies workers into two broad categories, so which is employees and independent contractor. These workers are taxed in different ways, and businesses must identify the correct classification of each individual to whom it is making the payment. So why is this classification important? Why are they talking about this classification? That because a person who is paying the money, he should know whom he is paying the money, because based on what, to whom the payment is made, the tax will differ. Say if you are making the payment to your employer will have to contribute the social security and Medicare tax component of his component. But whereas someone is acting as your independent independent contractor, you don't have to contribute anything. Everything will be paid by him only. So that is very important. So these workers are taxed in different ways, and the businesses must identify the correct classification of each of individuals. In general, business must withhold and remit taxes, social security and Medicare taxes, that is payroll taxes, and pay unemployment taxes on salaries and wages paid to their employees. Employers are required by 31st May to issue 31st of January, sorry. So once the year is ended, by next year first month end, once the year is ended, next year first month end, employer is required to issue form W2, which shows the amount of wages paid to the employees for the previous year. A business generally does not have to withhold or pay taxes on independent contractors' income, because independent contractors are considered as self-employed and are responsible for their own taxes. Note, in general, The general rule is that individuals is an independent contractor if the payer has the right to control and direct the result of the work. When will I call someone as an independent contractor? If the person who is paying them the money has control only on the result of the work and not how the work is to be done and how it will be done. In the other hand, the key distinction between independent contractor and employee lies in the level of control of the payer over the work performed. Worker classification is hot button issue for IRS and is covered in more detail in part 2. Basically in part 2 it is covered in more detail. Worker classification, why sir it is a hot button, sir? Why they are using the word hot button? Because many companies know, many companies, see, tell me, if you want to employ someone as your employee, or if you want to take someone for the same work as an independent contractor, what are you going to choose? Normally, if you are a business, you will see how much money is going out of my pocket. If I employ someone as an employee, I will have to pay him the salary. On top of that, extra his share, I will have to contribute as social security tax and Medicare taxes. I'll have to pay that extra from my pocket. Apart from paying salary, I'll have to pay that money extra. So many companies, what they do is, whenever they are appointing someone, though they want to appoint them as their employee, but they will not call them as their employee, they will enter into an independent contract with them and they will be treated as their independent contractor. In such cases, the entire 15.3% which is there now is required to be paid by that independent contractor only for, to the government. Now this person, the employer, will not have to pay anything. The company will have to not pay anything. So this classification, therefore it is a hot button. Anyways, we will see that in our part 2. If the worker receives form 10 for 99 NEC but believes that they were employee and should have received form W2 instead, the worker can file form SS8. So what is this point telling, sir? Say for example, the company paid you form 1099 NEC. That means the company treated you as independent contractor instead of treating you as a work employee. Company treated you as an independent contractor instead of treating you as an employee. In such cases, lawmaker says you can make a request for correction. How you should make a request, sir? In form SS8, determination of worker status for the purpose of federal employment taxes and income tax withholding purpose. So you can make an application telling, sir, I think there is a confusion over here. I was your employee, but whatever taxes you have paid, I am your employee, but you have treated me as your independent contractor and accordingly you have given me form 1099 NEC. Please correct it, sir. So here you are required to submit what, sir? Form SS8. If the determination is made and they are employee, they will have to file 8919 uncollected social security and Medicare tax wages with their income tax return. Wages from form 8919 is also reported in the special line form 1040. What this point says, sir? If it happens that if IRS finds that now he has submitted this SS8 and IRS finds that yes, he was supposed to be treated as his employee, but he was wrongly treated as independent contractor, then whatever the share of the tax, social security tax and Medicare tax is there, that will be shown separately as a separate line in your tax return. S was hired to work as a clerk for small business for small car wash company in 24. The business classified S as an independent contractor in order to avoid to pay taxes on payroll. S worked in the office every day from 9 to 5 under the full control of the company and was clearly an employee. The business issued 1099 NE at the year end. S disagrees with the classification, so she files out form SS8 and files it with IRS. The IRS will investigate the classification issue, and if they determine that she was an employee, then they will make sure that her employer pays the payroll taxes that were their responsibilities, and S will be liable to income tax on the amount that she earned, just as would have been if she would have classified correctly. What is this point telling? If you would have been an employee, how much tax you would have paid? Only that much I'll collect from you. Balance I'm going to collect from your employer. She would file form 8919 with her tax return to account and pay her share of social security taxes on her wages, meaning she has to pay only half of 15.3% instead of paying the full amount. T works in a company as a full-time delivery driver. At the end of the year, T's employer issues him form 1099 SE instead of W2. T believes that he was misclassified as independent contractor while he completed and filed his form 10. He was not yet received response for IRS within the due date. Therefore, he files form 8919 with his tax return. T lists the employer's name, provides the employer's federal information, the reason of filing, and he alleged wages with underreported security taxes. And now what is happening in the second case, sir? In second case, they are telling that now first case to IRS responded and telling yes, there was a misclassification. What if misclassification is not? What if the IRS does not respond within the due date of filing tax returns, sir? Lawmaker says still you just file your form 8919. You file this form SS8 telling about misclassification, and while filing your return you please file this 8919 and pay only your share. That time also it will be agreed. Now the types of taxes which are there, types of wage incomes which are there, that will see in our next class. Okay, so we'll conclude this class over here only. We'll continue the discussion on other parts which is there and complete this taxable income hopefully in our next class. Let us meet very soon in our next class. Till then, tada, bye bye, take care, enjoy, students.